Hi everyone, I'm very excited to welcome Venki today. He's the founder of Oneshot.AI, and prior to this, he worked at Salesforce as a software architect. So, really glad to have you here, Venki. Uh, and would love to start with your initial days of working at Salesforce and just give us a brief overview of what you worked on Salesforce and how did you start this entrepreneurship journey.
Sure. Thanks, Abhi. Thanks for inviting, and I'm really excited for our chat. Yeah, just to start myself, I myself, Venki Peda, people used to call Peda Venki.
Mm,
Uh, I'm the co-founder and CTO of Oneshot.AI. Heads up both technology and product. So we basically help the B2B SaaS companies to generate the top of the funnel for their business using our platform. Usually B2B marketers or B2B sales professionals who are doing inbound or outbound activities, they could use our platform. So prior to doing my entrepreneurial stuff, like I spent more than a decade at Salesforce. I actually joined through an acquisition where my previous company got acquired by Salesforce. I was one of the early engineers for that.
I
Then
see.
I relocated from Hyderabad to India right after acquisition. So kind of led bunch of products from the scratch to live and grew all the way from engineer to an architect. It's quite fascinating journey coming from an
Nice.
engineer to entrepreneur now. So quite fascinating.
Understood. Wow, nice. That's really interesting. And can you walk us a little bit on what One Shot is doing and how it is leveraging GenAI to assist sales roles? Especially, I think you assist SDRs a lot, right? In
Yeah.
top of the funnel. So, if you can outline a bit of how you're using GenAI to achieve that.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Cool. So we actually One Shot helps anybody who is B2B sales and B2B marketing professionals who is responsible for the top of the funnel. If you take the whole B2B sales process, the top of the funnel, the middle, and the bottom, on the top of the funnel side, usually marketers and SDRs, I mean, whoever is responsible for inbound activities or doing any outbound activities, they could use our platform. So the platform, it's kind of a fully AI prospecting platform. What it does is it helps to find the right ideal customer profile for your business. Take for example, True Foundry, for example. So who is your potential customers? Maybe uh, VP of engineering, maybe CTOs who is in charge of technology for your business, for their
Yeah,
business, they could use a platform. So we create the ICP, ideal customer profile. We find the right prospects within that ICP, and then basically we also do complete research of those accounts and contacts across all the data sources. Let's say if I have to outreach Abhi, like I can go to your LinkedIn profile, I can go to True
right.
Foundry blogs, whatever it is. So if I'm finding the right hook, that is, you need a reason to kind of outreach the person. So we do all the research and come back with the hyper personalized, relevant sales content optimized for emails, LinkedIn, cold calling. So we kind of produce the entire compelling message. Last but not least, we take it to the next level, do the entire automation as well. So right from finding the people all the way to outreach, and then you can do the whole reinforcement learning as well. Hey, what is really working for my business? What is not working? Like for example, True Founder can reach out to director of engineering and VP of engineering and CTOs and see who is actually responding better for the outreach that you're doing. So you could do that experimentation on platform.
Wow, interesting. I'm curious, like, how do you, so does, like, as True Foundry, will I tell you that the ideal customer is director of engineering to you, or you will also figure that for thing out, or do you just take a description of the company and you figure out what is the ideal profile? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. So it's we have two things. So basically, usually ideal customer profile is computed. We have specific models to calculate the ideal customer profile for your business using all your existing customer data.
I
Imagine if
see.
you have a lot, usually you'll have a lot of, you might be using some CRM system, whether it's a
Yes,
Salesforce, HubSpot. So we could
correct.
pull your customer base and analyze them. Hey, look, maybe you have a lot of customers in this industry, fintech industry, for example. Cool. We kind
I
of take
see.
that signal. Or within the fintech industry, only the companies with 100 to 200 employee company size is seeing more success. So we identify the ideal customer profile in terms of the firmographics and the intent signals. By that I mean to say what industries, what employee size, what keywords to look for, and in terms of the
I
person,
see.
what is the real person? Is it a what seniority level? Is it a director level? Is it a VP level? We compute if you have a lot of data, and if you don't have, you could actually start with, hey, look, I'm just still experimenting. I have something in my mind. Why don't you guys start with the input that I'm giving to you? So basically, we offer both for our clients, depends on their maturity of their business.
Understood. So you will, so you basically take all the HubSpot data and then you dissect it into multiple axes, and you kind of create a map of what the ideal profile looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of call it as on the person level and on the company that they work level. And on the company
Okay,
level, we put bunch of parameters to check the what characteristics it has. And on the
I
person
see.
level, we put bunch of characteristics to check what it is. So eventually a combination of person and company.
I see. Interesting. And do you use LLMs for this thing also?
Yeah. So because it's a very customer data, because my customer's customer data, I cannot send that to LLM. It's a private data.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
where we use a open source one. Basically, companies like you or ML Ops platform, we basically leverage that and then do all the classification and any custom ML models that we have written. Basically, we kind of host it in our own infrastructure.
Understood. Okay. And then once you have this ideal profile, then the part of finding the profiles, like you do scraping of LinkedIn and things like that to figure out who the ideal, like a few prospects will be. Is
Yeah.
that the next step?
So one is the metadata. Metadata is saying that okay, fintech industry of this
Right.
company size limit, or this location, this seniority, blah blah blah. So it's a kind of a metadata of the person company. Once we kind of flushed it out, either you give us or maybe the models compute for your business based on your existing data. Then we take it to the next level to actually find those people. How do I say Abhishek is the
Yes.
right one? So we have access to like a 500 million profiles, B2B contact data. We take all of them,
Understood.
we apply this metadata, find those people. Then we do research about both person and the company level on multiple sources. So the whole funnel goes from ICP to find people, doing research, then actually creating personalized content, and then doing entire outreach. So this whole process goes through it.
Okay. So you even handle the part of sending those LinkedIn messages
Yeah.
to these people, and then do you also do that conversation chat? Like, can you maintain a conversation with the lead, or do you
Yeah.
give it up to? Yeah.
So we actually do email automation. We
Okay.
we generate
Understood.
the content and then emails, follow up emails, all those things we can outreach it. Whereas for LinkedIn, we provide the messages. Say if you're sending a connection request, send this message. So basically, anything personalized is gonna resonate for the prospects to connect with you.
Understood. Quite interesting. And I'm guessing you use multiple LLMs along this entire journey, right? First is to figure out the company and the person, and then to figure out the messaging. And a lot of data crawling is also happening
Yeah,
behind the hood,
yeah.
right? So, like, did you start? Can you outline the journey of working with LLMs? Like, what did you start with? How did it evolve? What has been some of the learnings along the way?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So I would say if you see, first is the ICP, which is basically finding the profile for your business. Usually we don't go with public LLMs for that because it's a private data.
Hmm.
We use our
Right.
own classification to find the segments of that. And this is where the prospect research and summarizing is where we use public LLMs a lot. So we actually built the scrapers. If you take like for example ChatGPT for example, right? ChatGPT can
Right.
say, "Hey, go research about true foundry." What it the
Hmm.
capability it has is the internal scraping. It uses the Bing research, search SEO, search engine,
Correct.
basically get it and then summarize it. But now if you have to use it in an API, you have to build those kind of capabilities, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so we built the scrapers internally. So
Okay.
when whatever the prospect that we found, all those companies, we actually go and scrape all the data from on the company level, Google search results, company website, financial reports. We scrape a lot on the company. And on the person level, we also fetch the LinkedIn data of the person. I can literally see what is
Understood.
Abhishek's LinkedIn data, right? Now you can
Yes.
see the amount of volume of data that you are getting from all these sources is enormous. And this is where LLMs
Right.
play a dominant role to summarize. End of the day, yeah, you can find a lot about True Founder. You can find a lot about Abhishek. What does it mean for my business, right? What I'm
Correct.
selling. It has to be relevant for me as well, for you as well, and personalized as well. It's such a tricky combination to kind of do it.
Right. Right.
So that's where we use LLMs. hey, this is what True Foundry does, and
Hmm.
Abhishek is trying to reach Venki. Oh, this is all about one shot. This is all about Venki. This is all about True Foundry. Now find those right signals, and then use that to create the compelling outreach messages.
Oh, interesting. And for this, like you have found like ChatGPT works out the best.
Yeah, chat. Yeah, we kind of use GPT-4. We use GPT-4,
GPT-4.
GPT-4. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we also use Claude behind the scenes. So I kind of see that all these LLMs are trained on multiple parameters, and everybody has their own knowledge graph, I would say. Uh, and so some are basically we check the pricing and the accuracy and the latency based on all these factors. Basically, we pick and choose the right one for the right task.
Understood. Interesting. Uh, and do you track, Venki, like how do you currently like are pricing one shot? Like, uh, is it more on the number of sales that you generate, or like just want to just curious about that part?
Cool. I hope you become a customer out of this. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yes.
so we actually charge based on the number of people that you prospect, right? You could,
Understood.
because you know what
Okay.
number of people is some multiple variables, how many prospects and how many AI messages that you want to do. So some can say, hey,
Hmm.
Venki, I wanted to research on these multiple data points, right? Because everything is research is a computation. So we have to go and check their website, you have to go check financial reports, Google search. So we have multiple variables, so the number of people and the number of the research points, and then the number of AI messages, and the last but not least,
Hmm.
the number of channels that you want to automate. Do you want to just automate email? Do you want to automate call scripts or maybe LinkedIn messages? It's kind of
Understood.
a channel space.
Interesting. And currently, like, what is the impact you're seeing because of this automation? Like, what do you think? Like, do people actually understand that this is bot generated, or how
Oh
do you
yeah,
think the industry is going to evolve? Like,
yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. So I would say there are two aspects, right? One is I'm using this AI to send
hmm,
and represent my company. That's one side of
right.
our. On the other side is
Hmm,
me as a receiver reached out to an AI, right? Those are two kinds of coins. So
yes.
let's say what we do is from a sender's perspective, seller perspective, they also
Hmm,
you can see a bunch of risk tolerance people, or somebody say, oh, I'm not comfortable when AI is sending a message without even me approving it, right? Is your risk
right.
tolerance. Right, so we actually built this whole copilot and autopilot versions. Depends on your risk tolerance. You could just say, I'm going to use AI to the death, but guess what? I am the final guy going to review and approve it. Right? You as a
Okay.
user is the boss to review and approve it. That's one kind of a check that we put together. And during that process, you can actually humanize it. By that I mean to say, AI can do a lot of research and put the content, and you can say, oh, I wanted to mention in this way, that way. You can actually put human touch
Modify.
on top of it, basically modify it. And then on the receiver side, I actually see greater appreciation from the prospect saying that, hey, you guys have actually done well research on me. Where I see is that in the past, when the humans,
Hmm,
if imagine you or me as a human having to reach thousands of people on a weekly and monthly basis, it's a fatigue
yes.
job, right? It's a fatigue job going in.
Correct.
We basically you can't do, the machines are much better than humans there, right? And
Correct.
from the receiver standpoint, what I see is that they're actually appreciating that, okay, thank you for doing enough research on me, thank you for making it personalization. It's basically getting into the meat rather than no fluff. Oh, I hope you are doing well, things are great. It's no mean for a customer and a prospect standpoint. So it's a kind of a mixed both. And some customers actually put a PS, hey, by the way, this is generated by an AI. They mention that. And
Oh, interesting.
kind of say they humanize it. It's a different kind of flavors how people wanted to use.
Interesting. Do you also take into account, or do you plan to take into account like the brand language or something like every company has a
Yeah,
brand
yeah, yeah,
language and everything.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That was pretty cool. I mean, if you let's say for example, if everybody in the world is just using ChatGPT, right? They have the same access. You have the same access. I have the same access.
yes,
So
yes,
it becomes a new normal, right? Like back
yes.
then, her high first name, how are things going on versus now an AI. it's a saturation will become. Me as a receiver, I know that this is crap, right? And you
Yeah.
have to take it to next level, which is basically using all AI to customize for your business. Let's say what is True Foundry does, what is True Foundry ICP, what is True Foundry, if True Foundry has any blocks. For example, now you are having this podcast, you can actually mention this podcast to another CTO who's you are actually prospecting. Hey, look how this is how they're using True ML. Would that make sense for you, right? How is that? The ChatGPT
Understood.
doesn't know that you have it. So what I would say is that I would say companies need to use ML ops platforms like True ML, True Foundry, customize for their business processes. Take all your business data and use open source to, I mean, fine tune whatever the model, fine tune it to your business needs. And that's one side of the coin. And the other side of the coin is from the receiver standpoint. If you are reaching a CTO versus you are reaching out to a director, if you're reaching out to a senior manager, maybe IC,
Hmm.
every for seniority will expect certain point of tone of the language of the message, right? So you can
Understood.
have one model which is trained on the buyer persona, one model trained on the seller persona, and then another model take these to consider to kind of optimize it for the better outreach. So that's kind of see difference.
Interesting. Uh, Venki, would love to hear a little bit about the tech stack that you're currently using.
Yeah.
Uh, what and like you can elaborate a bit about the general tech stack, and then I would love to go into some of the LLM tools that you've tried, or because you're into the LLM domain, like some of the new tools that you've tried, or what is the pros and cons that you've faced.
Yeah, cool. So in general, I mean, obviously, as part of the app server standpoint, it's a mon stack that we use, and then we use the cloud AWS in terms of
Okay.
the. In specific to AML stack, we actually use LangChain to start with
Okay.
to do LSDK, but now we hit a block that whatever the customization that you want to do, we end up doing
Yes.
now. Let's say, for example, we were discussing about the use case and a gateway for multiple LLMs, right? If you want to do this with
Right.
the LLM chain, you don't get that kind of a thing. So now we are transitioning from actually we started with our own thing and then we switched to LangChain. Now we are going back to the original thing. That's I would say that. And in terms of the generating embeddings for the text that we want to do, maybe better search because we actually search and we have in
Okay.
40 million companies across the globe. And for
I
your
see.
business, what is the right customer, right business that you should be going after? So we do semantic search. So we generate the embeddings for all the keywords and website description, and then look for the right ones. We use a typical chat, basically GPT embeddings, and then
Understood.
in terms of the vector database, we use Pinecone. We explored Pinecone and a few other AstroDB.
Hmm.
So basically, one vector store and then embeddings. We use GPT, and then find the right knowledge articles, whatever the relevant one for this given query, and then we take it to the actual LLM, whether it's a GPT-4 or maybe Claude, depends on the use case. We kind of switch back. So that's the whole workflow, I would say. And
Understood.
in terms of the open source, basically we work with tools like you for the fine tuning
Understood.
and hosting everything.
Interesting. And this service, this one stack that you're hosting, like, are you hosting it on AWS, like Elastic Beanstalk, or
Yeah.
just Elastic Beanstalk? Is
Yeah,
it?
elastic. We actually start with the light sale. We were building
Right.
this whole scaling up and down. It's too much for us to manage at a startup like ours. Then we switched
Yes.
to Beanstalk. It's a kind of a pass, right? Like a platform as
Right.
service. And just define the
Correct.
auto scaling and just does it for you.
Interesting. Uh, and on the LLM side of things, Venki, did you have to do something like prompt management? Did you feel the need of using like saving all the prompts that you're doing or versioning or things like that? How
Yeah,
are
yeah,
you managing?
yeah. So our customers actually, if you're a customer, you get off the shelf default system prompts, right?
Okay.
And then you
Hmm.
basically clone it, and then each customer will have their own version of prompts. Typically, our customers will write the prompts for different use cases. One use case is qualifying the lead. Is Abhishek is the right person to contact or not? That's it, right?
Okay.
So you're gonna
Okay.
know true ML. That's what one shot does. What is Abhishek about? What is True Foundry
Hmm.
about? So you're gonna check
Hmm.
certain parameters. Yes, Abhishek is the right guy or not. That's it. That's one use case,
Okay.
and write the prompts for that. We have to provide
Hmm.
the system prompts for that. And the second use
Okay.
case, research and summarization. right? So the platform actually research about True Foundry, Abhishek, and multiple data sources. It doesn't matter even if there's a lot. It matters what's relevant for what I'm selling. So the so you write the prompts to extract the key points related for your business. So one is the lead quality, the other one is the
Hmm.
extracting the key information points for your business for that prospect, and the last but not least, using all this to create the sales content, whether it's a first email, whether it's a follow-up email, whether it's a LinkedIn message, whether it's a cold call script, then you write the prompts for that. So we have a sophisticated version, depends on the use case. Basically, the prompt is basically guided setup. By the time you need to say,
Hmm.
oh, you're using the prompt for a lead qualification, probably you just need a Boolean answer, yes or no. So the prompt output should be just yes or no, Boolean answer, right? Whereas
I see.
summarize kind of a text, you need a
Hmm.
5 bullet points. And if it is an
Right.
email, I'm going to say you should write in 50 words, maybe you should write in 60 words, or you should write in a professional tone, you should write in a funny tone. You see what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
use dictates what is the prompt guidelines and what is the output should look like, and we kind of build this whole orchestration in our platform.
I see. So you have a separate DB to store all the prompts of all the
Yeah, exactly.
customers and the customizations and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Understood.
And they
Understood.
can and then they
And
can choose which model to run against all the temperature. It's a temperature and top is too much for a customer to understand. We kind of
correct.
abstract that in a way that okay, make it creative, make it deterministic, things like that.
I see. And do you fix the model behind the hood to be like GPT-4 or GPT 3.5 or open source, or do you also give that level of flexibility to the customer that you can switch between different models?
Yeah, we give the flexibility for customers as well. But I know
Okay.
now
Okay.
the thing is it's one of those things because the persona that I'm dealing with is sales and marketing people, right?
Okay.
Versus an engineer. Like I'm an engineer.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to put one thing. Or so what I see is that we end up giving a lot of flexibility for customers, and I see that there's not much people using it. They
I
prefer,
see.
hey, you define, you decide what's best for this use case. They actually prefer that rather than them choosing. A very few, very
Understood.
tech savvy kind of customers they do that, but we actually offer both.
I see. And I'm guessing the credentials, the customers are not bringing their OpenAI credentials, or you are providing and it is proxied through you.
Yeah. So we are providing the open AI. Yeah,
The
they
the
don't have
open.
to bring their own API keys. That's something we have been thinking, contemplating as we scale, because now our
Hmm.
GPU skills also reach to the max. So we cannot scale
Right.
until unless I spin up more instances of one shot, or maybe
Right.
go this Azure OpenAI platform. So I still need to explore. One of the thought process is that bring your own LLM API key and then use it kind of.
Interesting. And along the lines of like, do you implement your own monitoring of how much latency is happening, or if OpenAI is down, or what requests are going, the prompt length, or things like that? Like, have you built a monitoring layer, or are you using some monitoring tool to do that?
Yeah, so this is where the business. What is the business? What is our main business? Our main business is basically helping our customers to generate revenue. Now we are getting into zone of what do you call latency, the observability, reliability. So this is where we wanted to lean on ML ops platforms. So this is, I think, True Foundry is a good example for us to kind of lean on. But the answer is yes. So monitoring how many customers are using, how much tokens that they actually used, right? And what happens if GPT-4 is down? Can we talk to other LLM behind the failover, right? And we might have to build a lot of SDKs for each LLM kind of a thing. Can we have an API gateway kind of a thing, like API gateway to talk to multiple LLMs, failovers, retries, those kind of stuff.
Right.
We are
Right.
actually doing internally, but we better to offload that to MLOps.
Interesting. Then Venki, like, would love to hear like your journey, like how has the development process changed in the last 3 years? Like, if you had to build the same product 3 years ago, like
Yeah,
in the pre-LLM era, and now, uh, like, how has it changed?
yeah, cool. It's so. I feel like the definition of full stack is now extended, right? So right? I mean, we can say, hey, look, you should write front end development, right? I mean, you're gonna write the
Right.
UI components, blah blah, or you're a back end developer. people are like, it's too much to manage, two teams, front and back, and they put this full stack development. I would
Right.
say, especially for us, a full stack development is also now added AI. Whether it's you're going to use Marvin AI functions, whether you're going to write prompting for your use case, the we extend like front end, back end, now the database, vector database, embeddings, you see what I mean? And now all the way to
Right.
AI functions, pretty much end to end. The whole pipeline is also the AI is commoditized now. Like it's so easily
Right.
available for everybody, and work with a good ML ops platform. Now you can take it to extend to the next level, right? Earlier, I would say developers need to think about what is AWS does, what is Azure does, what is GCP. Now they need to have a little bit awareness on how does fine tuning, how to do fine tune, right? How to host these models, how do you kind of change the weights and biases for a couple of the models. So I would say things definitely change a lot. That's one thing in terms of the breadth. The other thing is now people doesn't need to have earlier also. I mean, you can do Google search, go to Stack Overflow, get it. Now I've seen my engineers just go to ChatGPT and ask for they're producing best possible code using all the co-pilots and all. It basically leveled up their role and responsibility.
Interesting. While building the search system, Venki, internally, I'm guessing you use some sort of RAG system, right?
Yeah.
Like you embedded, like any challenges you encountered while building that search system, or did it work out very seamlessly for you?
So I think we tried with multiple embeddings, like we tried with GPT and then we tried with other model. It's if you generate embeddings with one model and then you try to query with this thing and it doesn't work that way. So you have to make sure you
Okay.
have consistency across the board. Uh, Actually, for us, the embeddings use case is just part in terms of finding that. For us, it's more
Hmm.
around text summarization, writing the content in the tune. So we have a larger use case over there and less on these embeddings.
Understood. Cool. And just the last question, Venki, how do you see the next 5 years happening with all these advancements happening, and how does any advice for our viewers who are either starting to work on LLMs or just thinking about dealing with LLMs for their own use cases?
Yeah, so I think AI is so you got more access to all these LLMs. If you are not using LLM in your business process, whether it's a employee productivity, whether it's a sales marketing department, using that to level up, or maybe providing a customer value for your customer, you got to use AI to the extent wherever it's possible. And where I would say is that saturation will come so quickly and everybody is using it, and then prospects and not prospects, like customers, and everybody's kind of used to it. Where I feel is that how much you are using these AI models to customize for your business process, whether you fine tune, whether you do right rag. I don't know if you have a resource and all, are you building your own LLM? I'm not even going that level, but at least to the greater extent, fine tune and RAG, and use the better ML ops platforms to help you to facilitate. I don't think that's your bread and butter. That's not your core business. Try to use the tools, companies that facilitate you to do that larger extent, and that's where I kind of see where it's going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Venki, for your time. Really happy, and it was a wonderful talk. Thank you so much.
Likewise, thanks, Abhi. Thanks for having me, and I really like thoughtful questions, and looking forward greater success for True Founder as well.
Thank you.